Welcome, welcome. Last class of the week for y'all. Anybody last class of the week? Anyone have Thursday classes? We have Friday class. Ooh, a Friday class. You're in the Saturday morning class? Wow, Arliss, that's a go-getter. That's awesome. This is the first time we've had a Saturday class in a long time. That's cool. Excellent. Um, all right, so chapter three. My goal is to get through chapter three today. Next week, we will have our classes like normal, Monday and Wednesday. Um, and then the following week, remember, is independent study. Okay. I leave on Friday next week, and then I don't come back until Thursday. So I will miss both Monday and Wednesday the following week. Okay. Um, and so just keep an eye out for maybe even getting caught up on any work that you're missing during that time that we don't have class for the independent study. Yes. Nope, I won't. I'm gonna be in the Philippines. I'll be 13 hours ahead, so I won't even be. It'll be 3 o'clock in the morning when our class meets. So I won't be online. Yeah, it'll just be. Nope, it's 100% on. Like you don't even have to come to class. Okay, independent study. The 22nd and 24th of September. So 2 weeks from today. Okay, don't even come to class. Okay, it's independent study, which means you study independently. Okay. And you can choose where you want to study. If you want to come here and study, you can. If you want to study at home, you can. It's independent study. All right. Yeah, correct. I'm not having any classes. The only class I'm going to have on that week is going to be my Thursday, 10:45 to 1:30, the HMG 1313. That's the only class I'm having that week. Because my flight doesn't even get in until 9:30 on Thursday. And so, yeah. Yep, we will. It's independent study. Yep. It should be on your course calendar. Excellent, excellent. Any other questions about our schedule? Okay. So, next week is week 4 of the semester, which means we are 25% through with our semester. Okay. We have an early alert system. What happens is I go in and check the grade book. Anybody who is at risk of failing the course, I'm going to send you an early alert that says, "Hey, just so you know, this is week 4. The track that you're on right now means you're probably going to fail this class. So, what can we do to get you on track?" Okay. Some of y'all have not yet even logged into Revel. That's an issue, which means you haven't done any of the homework. That's an issue. Okay. Um, I do my best to not give you any outside homework assignments other than what is in the textbook. Okay. So please try to keep up with that. If you are having problems accessing the textbook, you need to let me know. Okay. Please don't come tell me on week 10, "Oh, Mr. Minsky, sorry, I can't access the textbook." Okay. At that point, it's too late. I'll invite you to take my class again. All right. Questions, comments, concerns. Chapter 3. What is chapter 3 all about? Chapter Tourism. It is tourism, yes, as an aspect of tourism. Yep. Hotels, which are part of what overall segment of our industry? Lodging. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So we're talking about lodging. Prior to reading the chapter, what did you think about when you heard the word lodging? What came to mind? A lodge, okay. Cabins, yeah. Like an RV park, okay, cool. What else? Ski resorts. What's that? Anything with the bed. Yeah, anywhere with a bed. That's a good way to put it. Okay. Was there anything in the textbook, in the chapter, that you thought was particularly interesting or surprising as you were reading the book? So many different groups of types of lodging. Yeah. Absolutely. What else?
I'm feeling
Yeah. Think about how many hotel rooms there are across the world.
a lot.
What's that? Yeah, so that's a great point. Jan, thank you for bringing that up. So what we are looking at, um, one of the performance indicators that we look at as hoteliers is how full our hotel is, our occupancy percentage. Because remember, once today happens, I can't sell my room today tomorrow. Because once the books close, I can't put somebody in that room anymore. That money is gone. I cannot recoup that. And so that's why our rates change. They fluctuate. It's not going to be the same rate all the time. Okay. That's why we have to figure out our times of high demand, our times of low demand. When do we want to raise our rates? When do we want to lower our rates? All of that goes into determining that so we can maximize the money that we get in. Okay. But yeah, you're right. You think about that. If the room is empty, then you're not generating any revenue. You're not making any money off that room. Um, so yeah, we want to maintain. But then you get things like the Olympics or the World Cup, like Super Bowl, those major events, and those every single hotel is full, right? For miles. And so it kind of just depends on the time period. Okay. And then other questions, comments about the chapter before we jump in. That's it. Just that. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So I'm just gonna go over a couple things that I find interesting, or I think maybe a lot of people don't think about when they think about hotels. One of the biggest things is going to be franchising. Who is familiar with the word franchise? Okay. Keith, what does franchise mean when you hear that? How would you describe it? Exactly. So a larger company, a larger business is basically selling their business to maybe an individual or a group of people, and they are the ones who are going to run that business, right? So what is a benefit? What is a perk of having a franchise? Hold on. Okay, remind me your name. Adam. Thank you, Adam. Go ahead.
Spread it over a larger area. Able to see things from a distance allows for diversity, kind of test things out in different climates,
Yeah,
different areas.
absolutely. Good. So you can kind of spread your product out into different locations. Hold on. I know your name. Hold on. I know. What's the first letter? Victoria. Yes. Okay, go ahead.
But you already have a name person already knows and trusts, so it's easier to find.
Absolutely. So you have access to those clients, those customers, because they have that brand, that name recognition. One thing that happened recently, I think just in this last week, was announced is that the La Cantera Resort. Who is not familiar with the La Cantera Resort here in San Antonio? Okay, where is the La Cantera Resort? What's that? I would say more northwest side. Yeah, it's by Six Flags, by La Cantera, by La Cantera Shopping Center, Six Flags area. La Cantera Resort many years ago was the Westin La Cantera Resort, right? So it was a Westin hotel, and then they dropped the Westin flag, and it's just been the La Cantera Resort. It's independent hotel. Now, just announced this week, it's being picked up by Hilton, and it's going to be a Signa. So Signa is a small brand underneath the Hilton umbrella, and it's now going to be a Signa brand. So what are some benefits of picking up that Signa brand as now the Signa La Cantera Resort? Signa is the brand. So think about like Fairfield or La Quinta. So Signa is the brand of hotels under Hilton. What, Julian? It'll be more known. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, at the back of a bigger company. Now, when I open up my Hilton Honors app and I look for a place in San Antonio, the La Cantera Resort's going to show up. Before, it didn't show up because it was not part of Hilton. And so all those people who have the Hilton rewards now are going to see access and have access to stay there. And if I stay there, I'm going to get points, or I could even spend my points to stay there. Versus before, when it was independent hotel, they didn't really have that kind of platform to do that. The other one I want to talk about is management companies. Okay. Management companies, just because it says Marriott on the building doesn't mean that Marriott owns and operates that hotel. Okay. So just like a franchise, we also have contract management companies that will hire all your staff. They'll run the day to day. They'll hire your GM. They will hire your sales staff, and then you pay a certain percentage as a fee to them for them managing your hotel. Right? So if Ray wants to own a hotel, he's never worked in a hotel before. He wants to own a hotel because they're super lucrative, right? And he wants to open a brand new hotel right inside SeaWorld. It'll be the first one ever, right? But he doesn't know how to run it. And so he's going to contact Diamond, and Diamond's be like, you know what? I can, just because I know your name, that's why. Diamond can be like, okay, yeah, I can run your hotel for you, but it's going to cost you a percentage of your sales, right? And then take it one step further. Okay, this is going to be a Hilton hotel. So now I'm going to pay a franchise fee and a management fee. Okay, and so, but that keeps Ray from having to run the day-to-day operations. He's hiring somebody else to do it for him. Okay, so that's kind of how management contracts work. And the really cool thing about working for management companies, so we have one in San Antonio called Baywood. They're based here in San Antonio. And Baywood, they operate Hilton hotels and Marriott hotels. Okay. And the really cool thing about management companies is there's usually kind of a corporate level, just like there's a corporate level for Marriott and Hilton. So a friend of mine, she was the area director of sales. And so what she did is that she would oversee all the sales managers at the different hotels to help them meet their sales goal, give them ideas on how they can improve business. And she would work with them. But because she worked at the corporate office, not only did she get Hilton associate travel benefits, she got Marriott travel benefits. And so working for that corporate level of the management companies oftentimes allows you to have more access to different brands. There are some that only stick with specific brands, but for the most part, sometimes they will branch out. Okay. Other benefit of that, if you work for a management company, like let's say Baywood, if they operate a hotel downtown San Antonio and you get hired as a front desk agent, okay, but then their hotel over by Six Flags needs a front office manager, then you could actually be promoted to a different hotel, but you still work for the same company. So you're not actually changing jobs. You're still just working for the same company, just moving over to a different property that they manage. So, yeah. One of the downfalls of working for a management company is sometimes management companies, the properties change hands. When the management company changes, usually the new GM's going to come in and usually clean house and then hire all the people that they want to have working for them. So sometimes you have to kind of show your worth of why you're valuable to stay if there's a change in management company or ownership in any general way. But yeah, so there's a lot of different ways that hotels can be operated and owned. Talked about franchise, we talked about management. Rating and classifying hotels. What is the difference between a star and a diamond? Well, first of all, who knew that hotels were rated by diamonds? Anybody knew that no hotels were rated by diamonds? We've all heard of four-star hotels, five-star hotels, right? For diamond hotels, five diamond hotels is very similar in level of service. It all just depends on who's giving the award. So Mobile Travel Guide gives the stars and AAA gives the diamonds. Okay. What do hotels have to do to get different diamonds? Be amazing. I like that. Yes, they do have to be. The more diamonds you want, the more amazing you have to be. Yes. Absolutely. The quality of service and the services that they provide. So I worked for a hotel that they were trying to go from 3 diamonds to 4 diamonds. Okay. Now, 4 diamonds, there's certain criteria that they have to meet along the way. And somebody's going to come in and they're going to check off, they're going to have their checklist. Do you do this? Yep. Do you do this? Do you do it well? Is it a good quality service? Great. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, here you go. Here's your 4 diamonds. Okay. And then they're going to come in and secretly shop and just surprise you and just come in. They won't tell you they're coming and they'll just stay at your hotel and they'll rate everything and then you get a report. Congratulations, you maintained your 4th diamond. Or unfortunately, this has gone wrong, so we need to fix it before we can give you that 4th diamond again. Okay. Yes, go ahead. Not necessarily reviews that the people give. This is something that like the AAA will come in, they'll send a specific representative to come in and critique the hotel. And this particular hotel, they wanted to go for their 4th diamond. One of the criteria of many that they had to accomplish was they had to offer 24-hour room service. Okay. So at the time, their room service closed at 11 when their restaurant closed. When their restaurant closed, the room service also closed. We call it in-room dining, IRD. Okay. So they had to weigh the pros and cons. Do I keep my restaurant can still close at 11, but do I keep my in-room dining open 24 hours a day? Which means what? I have to staff at least one person to run the food, at least one cook that knows how to cook everything on the menu, someone who has that training that can do everything, right? And I have to think about the electricity, the gas, all the water, all the utilities are going to be used. And is that worth going for a 4th diamond, right? Depends on the hotel. What happens if I get a 4th diamond? That's going to attract a certain clientele that when they search for travel, they only look for 4 diamond hotels. Until you get that 4th diamond, they're never even going to consider your hotel because they don't say anywhere less than 4 diamonds, right? So by trying to get that 4th diamond, it opens your hotel, your property up. So like Jen was mentioning, hopefully our hotel is fuller more times out of the year. Okay. Amai, did you have a question or comment? Go for it. They're about the same. It really kind of just, like I said, it depends on who is giving that. So, um, the you could be like, I mean, you could have both ratings. You don't have to choose one or the other. You could have star and diamond ratings. Well, I mean, if you have both, it just means people will know if you're a 4-star, 4 diamond hotel or 3-star, 3 diamond hotel. And also, sorry, one more thing. So, like with AAA, for example, if someone has AAA membership, then when they travel, they're probably looking at the list of AAA hotels, and those are going to be only ones that have diamonds versus ones that have stars. So you might give you the access to those individuals. Yes, Adam.
So like the getting the 4th star, forcing you to have a 24-hour service. Is it possible to have a workaround and like change the menu after certain hours, or will that no longer?
I'm sure you could have like a limited menu. Yeah, I'm sure that would definitely like, so you're not gonna maybe have the full menu, but maybe after 11 o'clock, it's more like bar food, burgers, sandwiches. Um, yeah. Mhm. As long as someone can open, pick up that phone and order food 24 hours a day. Yep. All right. So different ways that we classify hotels. What is one way? What's an example of how we classify hotels by location? By location. What do we think? Kevin, what do you think? Okay, so we're maybe near some attractions. Absolutely. I think actually, hold on. locations. Here we go. Okay, so if somebody is staying, can you give me an example of an attraction somebody may want to stay nearby or at? Yeah, absolutely. So near a museum, if you stay at that, like they may even have the title of that museum in the location of that hotel, right? So it might be like the museum in Manhattan or the hotel in Manhattan near the Museum of Art, right? And so that way, when you're searching for Museum of Art, or you're searching for things like that, those hotels are going to pop up, and you'll see those close to those attractions. What else? Yep, Adam.
Airports.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Airports. What are some benefits of having an airport hotel? Staying at an airport hotel. Convenience. Okay.
How far, but
Yep.
they're like car rentals.
Yeah. Say that one more time. If you have a layover, like a overnight layover, absolutely. If your flight's canceled or delayed, absolutely. So that's a great point. If anybody ever think about going into hotel sales, one of the contracts that every hotel salesperson near the airport wants to get is an airline contract, usually, because they're going to guarantee that they're going to have X number of rooms filled every single day of the year. Okay. They're going to say, you know what, our contract is for 40 rooms every single day or 20 rooms every single day. Whether they use them or not, they're going to pay for 20 rooms. Okay. So that's those types of rooms. That's where crew is going to stay. That's also those rooms that if flights get canceled and they give you a hotel voucher, that's how they pay for that hotel voucher because they are guaranteeing that you're going to have a room at that hotel based on that contract for airlines. Um, Companies like it because they can come in, have a meeting. Typically, airport hotels are going to have a free shuttle to and from the airport, so they don't have to pay for rental cars. They don't have to pay for Ubers. They can just get on the shuttle, go to the hotel, have their meeting, spend the night, and then fly out the next day. All right, what other kind of locations? Diamond. Okay, so sporting events. I'm just going to put events in general. And I'm also going to put convention. Actually, no, I'm going to do this. Central Business District, CBD. Central Business District. Okay. Central Business District is like typically like a downtown. Maybe there's a convention center and they're going to have hotels all around there. Let's go back. There we go. Okay. Any other locations that you're thinking about of where hotels might stay? Yes.
We're in the reading, it was like off the side of like interstates, like
Yeah. Interstate travel. Right? So if people are traveling, truck drivers that are like long haul trips, families driving on vacation, it has a way for them to just pull off the highway, stop, stay for the night, get rested, and then pick up and keep going the next day. Um, Absolutely. That's how Holiday Inn got started. Holiday Inn got started because the gentleman who started Holiday Inn brand, he said that he didn't want his customers to be any more than 1 day's drive away from the next Holiday Inn. So if you're driving from California to North Carolina, you should be able to drive and stay at Holiday Inns the entire way. So when you get ready to leave this Holiday Inn, you know what? Hey, we're leaving Oklahoma City. We're going to stay in St. Louis, Missouri. Call ahead. Do you have a room for us? Yep. Okay, sounds great. We're going to see you there tonight. And then you can book your way across the country staying at only Holiday Inns. So that's how that brand got started.
Your like natural attractions like in national park.
National parks, yeah, absolutely. So definitely in those attractions of all sorts, we might have lodges or campgrounds or things like that inside national parks or state parks. Absolutely, it's a great example. Okay, yeah. So near some kind, I'll go ahead and put that up there. Nature sites. So that might be beach resorts. Oops. Okay. So whether that's national parks, hospitals, absolutely. Right? I mean, you have to imagine in medical centers the type of guests that you might have. Um, in medical centers, either they themselves or somebody in their family is going through some kind of tough medical experience. And so, how do we as hoteliers, how do we as industry professionals help them in that time as they're trying to navigate that? And that goes back to, oops, where's my level of service? There we go. Back to our level of service. Okay. So we have hotels like Fairfield, Springfield, or Spring Hill Suites. We have brands like La Quinta, Comfort Suites. What else? Drury. Those are going to be more what we call select service hotels, a little bit smaller. Of course, you have the Motel 6, the Super 8. Those are going to be your more budget. Spark is actually a brand that's under Hilton. That is kind of a new brand under Hilton that is actually is more of the budget hotel. We have two of them here in San Antonio. There's one they're just rebranded from like older like Super 8 motels to a Spark brand. There's just two new ones here in San Antonio. But then we have hotels like Residence Inn by Marriott. We have Spring Hill, not Spring Hill Suites. What is Hilton? Hilton is Home 2 Suites, and well, I can't think of it. It's where I like to stay all the time. What's the suites in Hilton? Homewood Suites. That's what it is. Home 2 and Homewood Suites. Those are an Embassy Suites. Those are all suite properties, which means every room is a suite, which means there's a separate sitting area and a dining or a living area and a sleeping area, right? So good for families. The sofa usually pulls out into a bed, and so that allows for kids to sleep over here, parents to sleep over here, and then you only need to have one room instead of two rooms, right? So suite properties. Things like Homewood Suites and Residence Inn, we also call them extended stay. Not that you have to, but usually extended stay hotels. Candlewood Suites is also another example of extended stay. They're basically like little mini apartments. They have little mini kitchens with a fridge. Sometimes there's a stove. Sometimes if there's no stove, you can actually check out a burner and they have pots and pans. I like Homewood Suites because they actually have glassware plates, real silverware. And so I feel like you're at home, right? And so if I'm going to go out to eat and get my Whataburger, I'm going to come back to the hotel. I'm not going to eat it out of the bag sitting on the bed. I'm going to put it on a glass plate. I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to order extra fries because the first one never makes it back to the hotel. And so I can actually have fries to eat with my burger. And so sometimes I like that. All right, resorts. So that's what we were talking about, beaches. Oftentimes those resorts are near beaches and or other attractions like golf. So in San Antonio, we have how many resorts in San Antonio? La Cantera Resort is one. Any other resorts in San Antonio? Marriott has one. It's called the JW. It's up by Stone Oak area, North Central off 281, TPC Parkway. And the last one is over by SeaWorld. It's called the Hyatt Hill Country Resort. Okay, so three different brands. We have Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt now, as those three different branded of those hotels. What do you think of when you think of resorts? Probably what you see in the pictures, right? More money, okay. What is the purpose of being at a resort? The experiences that you get, good. What else? It's mostly leisure. The amenities that they have, good. Activities that they offer, especially the summertime. I mean, can you imagine? Some of my students, in the past, it's been a while, but some of my students actually go and work at resorts as their activities coordinators. So like in the summertime and the parents want to send the kids off to do like face painting or pumpkin painting or whatever they do at the holiday times, right? So there's actually a whole staff that plans those activities and then executes those activities. Yeah, that's all I hand over here. Relaxation, yes. Most resorts are going to have a spa of some sort. Some, if not all, are going to have a golf course. So the golf course out at JW Marriott, that's where the Valero Texas Open is played every year in April. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So when you do weddings and you do events and things like that at resorts, the idea is that everything is contained. You have no reason to leave the resort, right? If I'm going to stay at a Hampton Inn and I want to go something to eat, I can either go to the front desk and get a frozen pizza and put it in my microwave and eat that, or I have to go off property to get something to eat, right? At a resort, the idea is you stay there. Now we have all-inclusive resorts, which are ones that when you pay that price, you get all your meals, you get all your drinks, everything, right? That's all inclusive. The resorts we have here are a la carte, okay? Which means if you're going to go eat, you're going to pay that and charge that back to your room, or pay for it with a credit card. And so the resorts we have here are not all inclusive. Vacation ownership. This is essentially the new trendy way of saying timeshares. If you're familiar with timeshares, timeshares kind of got a bad rap, a bad name. And so they've kind of changed the model to vacation ownership. They can range anywhere from $7,000 to $15,000. If you ever get a call and said, "Hey, you can come to Orlando for $100," and then during your 3 days, at one point you got to go and like meet with somebody and do a tour of our resort, and then they tell you it's only going to be an hour and a half, and it turns out to be like 2.5, 3 hours until you say no for the eighth time, and then they finally are like, "Okay, fine, you can go keep enjoying your Orlando vacation." Okay, so vacation ownership is something that is a way to kind of help build that brand loyalty. And it used to be like timeshares. I'm going to buy this condo at this location on this week, and that's it. That's what I'm paying for. Now, vacation ownership is like you typically buy a package of points, and then you can use those points at a lot of different resorts around the world. So I have some friends who own them. They have big families, so it's really cost affordable for them to divide it. But for me to pay one person for what they're paying for a family is a little bit cost prohibitive. So it kind of just depends on the situation. Real quick, when we talk about the best, I have best in quotations, right? I think one thing going through grad school and going through more education as I go higher in my education, whenever someone says this is the best, I'm like, by who says that? Who says it's the best? Is it because they had the most social media followers and they all voted in that way? Or did somebody who actually has credibility go in and critique it and give them that title of the best, right? So for example, when I worked at Cheesecake Factory, I had my top 5 best cheesecakes as a server, and I had to have them at least 10 times each just to make sure they could make my top 5 list. Okay. I gained 10 pounds in the first month that I worked at Cheesecake Factory because I had to eat at least 1 to 2 pieces of cheesecake a day. How can I tell my guests what they taste like if I haven't tasted them myself? Is what I told myself. So, whoever is saying it's the best, you want to look to see who is giving it the best. Is it because somebody paid a marketing fee and now they're going to end up in the magazine as the best hotel, right? So sometimes you can pay for that. So you want to be careful as you're reviewing those. However, I will say, um, Ritz-Carlton is probably one of the best hotel brands. Okay, they are the Malcolm Baldrige is a quality award that is given out to multiple organizations. Alamo Colleges has won the Malcolm Baldrige Award, I think, twice for quality education. And Ritz-Carlton has also won that award. It's the only hotel brand to have ever received that quality recognition of the Malcolm Baldrige. And so they really truly are the best and the standard to go by. Unusual hotels. How many of y'all remember this section of the book? How many of y'all were surprised by some of these unusual hotels? All right, so which one in particular? The ice, yeah. Did we talk about the ice hotel in this class last time? Okay, I can't remember if it was my morning class or this one. I don't know if I could stay in an ice hotel. That does not seem comfortable. All right, what else? What other ones? The safari hotels? Yeah. Can you imagine eating breakfast and this giraffe just pokes its head in the window? I think that'd be really cool. I think it'd be really awesome. There's a hotel in West Texas that they have giant teepees. Okay, so they call it glamping. So it's not camping; it's glamorous camping. So they call it glamping. Okay, giant teepees. They have giant covered wagons. So it looks like you're like, and the wagons are all circled around a campfire. So it looks like you're like on a trail drive somewhere. But when you get up into the wagon, it's oversized, obviously. It's not being pulled by any animals. So it's oversized. But when you get up in there, it's literally like a hotel room. Um, I stayed at a glamping resort in New Mexico and I stayed in an Airstream trailer. So I got to, I didn't have to pull it behind my car or anything. I just pulled up and that's where I stayed for the night, was in an old 1950s Airstream trailer. It was really cool. So those glamping type things are a little bit unusual. And let's talk about green lodging. Okay, what do we mean by green? Eco-friendly. Okay, so what's one example about how a hotel can practice green practices? Brent, what do you think? Good, using renewable energy. So SeaWorld, it's not a hotel, but SeaWorld most recently, they built solar panels in their parking lot. They charge, I think, $80 a day to park under there. So that's like the VIP upfront parking. But in addition to having solar panels, they also now have shaded spots for people to park. And so using that renewable energy. That's great. Good. What else? Yep. Yeah, reducing the amount of water. So when we think about how much laundry has to be washed in a hotel, if we can hang our towels, or maybe we don't change the sheets every single day, okay, let me take that back. If it's the same guest in the same room, we don't change the sheets every day, right? It used to be that the housekeeper would come in and change and put brand new sheets on every single day. Now, most hotels, especially if it's like an extended stay, it's usually about every 3 days. They'll come in and they'll replace the sheets, right? Um, or towels. If towels are hanging up in the bathroom, then we'll leave them alone and then we won't wash them. If it's on the floor, then we'll replace it. Okay. Adam.
Grow food if it's one that's served.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we can take all of the compost, all the scraps, do y'all know we have a composter here in the building? So we can take all those scraps and then we can put them in there and we can use them in the plants throughout the building. We don't have enough to like have a garden, anything quite yet. But we can take when y'all do, I think, is it this week y'all are doing fruit cups in basic skills or is it next week? This week. So all your nice, all those scraps, except for the pineapples, we can't compost those. It messes up our machine. But we can compost all that and then we can use it throughout the building in our plants. So yeah, same thing. Hotels and places can do that as well. What about other ways to reduce electricity? Okay, so maybe having LED lights, low or more energy efficient light bulbs. How many of you have ever traveled outside of the United States? You've traveled to other countries besides the US. Okay. When you go into hotel rooms, what do they usually have by the door? A little slot for your key, right? And so what happens is when you put your key in there, it turns on the power to the whole room. But as soon as you leave and take your key out, usually within 5 minutes, all the power goes out. So if you were to leave your lights on or leave the TV turned on and you leave the room, rather than that run all day long and use that electricity, when you take that key out, When you leave, after about 5 minutes, everything automatically turns off. And when you come in, you got to put that key back in order to get power. So do you think if you're an international hotel and you have a bunch of stupid Americans coming in to stay at your hotel, sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way, okay, uncultured Americans that don't know that, and they're calling down and saying, hey, there's no power in my room. There's no power in my room. At check-in, what? Oh yeah, no, it's not just international. I have seen some in the States, but it's predominantly international. But people calling down and say, hey, there's no power in my room, right? Maybe at check-in, as they check in, don't forget you need to put your key in the spot next to the door when you walk in to get power. I'd rather say that at check-in than have to answer 45 different calls as they're coming down, right? So a lot of different ways we can practice that. Because that is one of the biggest impacts of hospitality on a region. Think about Las Vegas. It's the middle of the desert. How much electricity? Arliss, were you the one saying you went to Hoover Dam? Yeah, that generates the electricity so that we can power. We also provide water. You're in the middle of a desert. How are you going to get water out there? Or if you're on an island, think about the impact that that hotel or the waste from that property can have that impact on the environment of that area. So anything we can do to make it better and ease that would be great. All right. Let's see. How many people do we have today? How many of you recognize at least one brand on the screen on the left-hand side? At least one brand. Raise your hand. Which brand is it? Holiday Inn, okay. How many of you know at least two brands that are up on the screen? At least two brands. 3? 4? 5? Not to be able to see all of them. That's about as big as I can make it. So luxury is the top one. That's about as big as I can make it. Luxury collection. All right. Any 5s? Nope. Okay, that's about the number. Cool. So the purpose of this activity is really to help you understand that different brands, what we think of as like a different brand of hotels or like a parent company of a hotel, actually has multiple brands underneath it. Okay. We can't just have Marriott, all 5,000 hotels across the world be called Marriott. Okay. They all serve different clientele, different types of customers, and different types of guests. Okay. Some of those are the extended stays, some of them are the luxury, some of them are the budget. Okay. And then everything in between. So, what I would like you to do, I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. It's not going to take very long, especially with 3 of you. Okay. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. You need to determine what the parent company is. Okay. What the destinations are. Are they international or domestic or both? Okay. What does domestic mean?
It's
It's in the United States. Okay. So domestic, is it international, domestic, or both? How many locations are there approximately? And is there one of those hotels in San Antonio?
Yeah.
Okay. Go.
So it's
You got 5 minutes. Go.
They are international because they have one in like Cabo San Lucas and Baby Royal and in Asheville and then the highest ranked one is actually the San Antonio, so it is in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's it.
No.
And there's a
So you're gonna have those 4 pieces of information and then be ready to report back to the class.
Yeah, one website just say travel or water still meal start.
Love me work.
We're done. We know it's
Okay, and then now, what was the other one?
Parent company.
Number of locations, and then in San Antonio is a yes or no question. It doesn't necessarily mean the number of locations in San Antonio.
Okay, so Karen, right? Can you scroll back up, sir?
Yes, give me 1 second. I'm looking up Holiday Inn. Uh, where is it? All right, go for it. There you go. All right. So if we take a look real quick, I'm going to give you my example. Holiday Inn.
No.
The parent company for Holiday Inn is IHG, which is Intercontinental Hotel Group. It's both international and domestic. And there's over 1,100 Holiday Inns across the world. And yes, there is Holiday Inns in San Antonio. Okay, so that's pretty much what you're going to report on, those 4 pieces of information. All right, so let's start with luxury collection. Luxury collection. All right, who's the parent company? Marriott. Okay. International or domestic or both? Both. Okay, what else? 120 plus locations, good. And is there one in San Antonio? 2 in the US and 1 is in San Antonio. Yes, absolutely. Let me show you a picture. So this is the St. Anthony Hotel, downtown San Antonio. It's one of my favorite hotels to go visit and see. They have it's just amazing cultural. You went to a prom there? Okay, awesome. So the St. Anthony Hotel is one of the oldest hotels in San Antonio. It's a historic property. Okay. And they actually converted it to a luxury brand when they renovated it. And so it's really, really beautiful hotel, downtown San Antonio. All right, excellent. Next one, Delta. Anybody have Delta? Okay, go for it. Marriott. Okay, good. Okay, both. 140 plus. Not in San Antonio. Nope, not in San Antonio. I remember the first time I was looking, I saw Delta. I was sitting in one in Toronto, and I was like, I didn't realize the airline had its own hotel company, but it's not. It's owned by Marriott. It's no connection to the airline company. All right, Protea. Do we have anyone with Protea? There's a couple ones that we don't have. Okay, so Protea is going to be Marriott. I believe they are international only. I don't recall the numbers, and no, there's not one in San Antonio. AC Hotels. Okay. Okay. And is there one in San Antonio? Correct. There is one downtown. The AC and Element. Okay. So in downtown San Antonio, let me pull that one up so y'all can see. If you've ever been to One Watson, it's a rooftop bar. That's in the AC Hotel. The AC Element Hotel in San Antonio is basically right here. It's right across the street from San Fernando Cathedral. Okay. And this is a dual property. So there's actually 2 different brands in the same building. So one you check in, there's 2 different check-in guests or desks. And then when you use these elevators, it'll take you to the Element, which is like a Westin hotel. And on this side, you go over here to the AC and use those elevators. It takes you to the guest rooms for the AC hotel. So it's 2 different brands. It's called a dual property. So 2 different brands inside the same building. I think they're both about the same level. Element is going to be kind of like, so you have Westin as like the full service hotel, and then Element's going to be right below that. So think about like Holiday Inn and Holiday Inn Express, how they're kind of related, although the Element is nicer than the Holiday Inn Express. But this is what the inside of the lobby looks like. Very beautiful. And then this is the rooftop bar, One Watson. All right. The hotel or the bar? Yeah, it's not inexpensive. I went to One Watson. A friend and I went before a show at the Majestic, and we each had an appetizer, and maybe a drink or two each. I can't remember, and it was a little over $100. So, all right, True. Do we have any Trues out there? True brands? Nope. Okay, that's mine. Hilton is the parent company for True. Okay, and I believe they are both. I don't remember the number of locations. I will look those up and fill it out before. And yes, we have some in San Antonio. How many of any of y'all ever drive over like 151 towards SeaWorld? So that True is also a Home2 Suites. So this is the original True that opened downtown San Antonio, but we also have one that's out off of SeaWorld. That's this one right here. So on this side is the Home2, and on this side over here is the True. So you have the same main entrance, and then you have the different properties in the same building. It's a very common thing. When I was in New York, I saw a tri-brand, so 3 different brands in the same building. It was very odd. But one thing that with True is check out these guest rooms. This is what your guest room looks like. It is extremely minimal. Right? This is your closet right here. There's literally a bar, an L-shaped bar, and that's where your hangers go. Okay, you got your little iron right here. And then you have pegs on the wall right here to hang other stuff. Okay. This desk pulls out. The idea behind True is it's supposed to be designed for millennials. Somebody decided it's what we call a lifestyle brand, right? So that they're trying to attract a particular style, a particular generation of guests. And somebody in their marketing infinite wisdom decided that millennials love to be social, but don't like to talk to each other while they're being social. So in the lobby area, you see seating areas where people can work, but yet you're in a social environment without actually talking to each other, is how it was explained to me. My students, when I've talked about this before, they think it looks more like a college dorm room, right? And when True first opened, their breakfast was strictly continental. No hot options, no waffles, no eggs, no bacon, no protein, no nothing, right? And people were like, hold on, wait a minute. I'm at a hotel. I need to have a full hot breakfast. So they actually had to kind of reconfigure their brand standards and come up with an actual to implement a breakfast. This is the original True downtown San Antonio. So this building right here is a historic building. It was the Ford dealership. You can see the big garage doors. So this was the Ford dealership, and then they built the new building on top of it. I think that's one thing that San Antonio does really well is we preserve our culture. We don't tear down something to build brand new. We take what's existing and build within it. So then that way it kind of preserves the culture of our downtown. So this is the True downtown. All right, Tapestry. All right, go for it. Built-in, good. Both. 173. There is one in San Antonio. Yes. Let's take a look at it. This is the Estancia del Norte. It's over by the airport. It used to be a DoubleTree hotel. Okay. What's the signature for DoubleTree? Anybody? Anybody know what the signature for DoubleTree hotels is? Yes, they give you a cookie when you check in. It is the best cookie ever. And it's warm. They have a drawer under the front desk that keeps the cookies warm. So good. Love it. Sometimes that's the deciding factor of where I'm going to stay. If it's It's a chocolate chip with walnuts and like oats and everything in it. It's so good. It's amazing. So this is the Estancia del Norte. This hotel is located down or near the airport. It also looks very similar to a downtown hotel, which is called the Omni La Moncion, right across the street from the Majestic Theater, behind the Majestic Theater. Okay, the Omni La Moncion was St. Mary's. That's where St. Mary's Law School started. It was a dormitory and university, and they turned it into a hotel. But then near the airport, and then if you drive up to Austin on the right hand side of 35, there's a double tree that looks just like the Estancia del Norte, because that was the La Moncion Hotel Group. They wanted to they wanted to like start their own hotel group, so they built all their hotels to look very similar, and then ended up selling them to other people. So, but it's a beautiful, beautiful historic property, and um, it, what's the word I'm looking for? Tapestry. Tapestry is a boutique brand, right? When you walk into a Holiday Inn, or you walk into a Hampton Inn, or you walk into a La Quinta, they're all going to look pretty similar, right? That's part of that brand recognition. But then all these big hotel brands were like, hold on, people want unique experiences. They want things to be tailored to the region that they're visiting. They don't want a cookie cutter approach. Not everybody. And so all these unique hotels or boutique hotels that were popping up, the big brands were like, how do we get our guests to have that experience? And so that's where the Tapestry collection came in, as well as Canopy. So let's talk about Canopy. Who had Canopy? Anybody? Oh, go ahead. So we know it's Hilton because I just put it up there. How many, what are they, international or domestic locations? Both? Okay, excellent. How many? 45. It's a very new brand under Hilton. And do we have one in San Antonio? Yes. Okay, and the Canopy brand, the logo is orange, and every Canopy hotel has an orange old school bicycle. So that's like in their lobby. That's like their kind of piece um, of connection. All right, Texican Court. Texican Court. Okay, talk to us about Texican Court. Yes, Valencia Hotel Group. It is only domestic. Correct. There's just one. It's not in San Antonio. So Texican Court is one of my new favorites. So Texican Court, and really when the court itself, the court is the brand under the Valencia Hotel Group. Okay. And so we have Texican Court, we have Cotton Court, which is out near Lubbock. So it kind of plays on the region. You also have Lone Star Court, which is in Austin. So it kind of plays with like the Texas cowboy theme, right? It's a nod back to the old days of motels where we had the exterior entrances, the exterior corridors. But then this is what your hotel room looks like. It's a polished, painted concrete floor, a nice, cool little, not little, but full-size retro refrigerator. And then Valencia Hotel Groups. We have one in San Antonio called Hotel Valencia. That was the first hotel within the hotel group. And it's a play on the Valencia oranges from California. So if you go into the Valencia Hotel downtown San Antonio, they actually have glass Valencia oranges, like hand blown, like Venetian glass oranges that are autographed by all the celebrities that have stayed at the hotel. So you can go up to the hotel lobby and like check out their wall of oranges. But Valencia hotels by far, they have the best water pressure. I'm usually a water conserver, but I will waste water at a Valencia hotel because the hot shower pressure is so amazing. All right, Andaz.
Those you bring.
It is Hyatt. Good. Okay. Okay. And Not one in San Antonio. We're gonna come back to that in just a second because I know we're in our last minute of time. I just saw that. I'll get these last two sections real quick. Thompson, go for it. Hyatt.
China. There's 19 in the world, and there's one on the river.
Yes, the Thompson Hotel downtown and Hotel Indigo. Yep, go for it. Yep, IHG.
Domestic.
Yep. Awesome. Sounds great. Okay, I know I'm at 3:15, but if you can give me about 35 to 45 seconds, real quick, I just want to show you. Thompson Hotel, downtown San Antonio. This right here used to be a parking lot, and they built a 20-story hotel. So with Hilton, or sorry, with Hyatt, with the Thompson and the Grand Hyatt, which is another brand under Hyatt, the bottom section is the hotel. The top section is actually condos and residences. So you can actually purchase and live there at the hotel, like live in the residences area and have access to the fitness center, the pool, all the amenities of the hotel. This red roof right here, it's kind of hard to see, but this little red roof, that's the Hotel Indigo. That's also downtown San Antonio. So imagine this used to be a parking lot. And then one day they build a building, and now you literally can touch both hotels. That's how close that hotel is to each other. You can touch both hotels. But this area right up here, this is the 20th floor balcony, which is right up here, the top corner. And that's where Moon's Daughter is. It's a great tapas bar, but they also serve breakfast and lunch. And then they have a restaurant on the first floor that is like a steakhouse called Landrace. But beautiful hotel. I will say this last thing, Hyatt doesn't really have budget. Pretty much anything in Hyatt is going to be luxury or world class. And so if you're looking for that level of service, Hyatt is a great company to work for. All right?
They only have 25 of these.
Yeah, so that's a very luxury, that Andaz is a very luxury brand. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Here, I'll show you this. This is Andaz as you walk out. You can kind of see the different types of resorts and brands that are under Andaz. If you'll do me a favor as you leave, if you can put them up in order, that'd be great. If not, just toss them up here. I know we're over time. Just toss them up here. I'll reorganize them. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all on Monday. Have a great weekend.